Greetings, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. Every time I ask you what you want to see from me, I get an overwhelming amount of people saying they want to see me do more videos about Facebook groups. And so I've spent the past couple of months on my burner conservative Christian middle-aged mother Facebook account requesting to join as many groups as I possibly can. And I have managed to get into quite a few of them, and I will be slowly going through them and bringing you all of the gossip from inside these groups. And the group that I infiltrated during this week was Toxic In-Law Support Group, which is basically just a group where people come in and they rant and vent about their toxic in-laws and ask for support or like just solidarity, advice, that sort of thing. Now, obviously, a lot of the groups that I have been finding and joining recently have been more like community and just like coming together and sharing advice and ranting style groups as opposed to just people being the most insufferable people in the entire world. But, you know, they're here asking for advice. And I thought that I, someone who does not have in-laws, was completely, obviously, very qualified to come into this group and offer my own advice and support. I thought it would just be interesting to look at some of the things that in-laws are saying and the ways that these usually like women get treated by usually their mothers-in-law, because it's really interesting and incredibly infuriating, and it ties a little bit back into all the toxic boy mom sort of issue stuff. Yeah, so that's what we're doing today. Having a look at some toxic in-laws and having a bit of a conversation because it's actually kind of astounding. This person just said, "My mother-in-law keeps calling me my husband's ex-wife's name. We have been together for 6 years and I expected to just let it go and ignore it." Wild. This is like actually wild. Like the disrespect is astounding. I do not understand how after 6 years, like 6 years, you are deliberately still calling the partner of your child the wrong name. And not just the wrong name, but like the name of his ex. Just being like, I wish you were still with her. I loved her more. You are not her. Which brings me so many questions of like, how did their relationship end? Like, what happened in the marriage? Because clearly they separated for a reason. So why are we still being like, man, I wish he was still with her instead. She was so much better. Because like they separated for a reason. So you need to like, I don't know, let it go. Maybe. But ultimately, I think that this is an incredibly like infuriating and upsetting situation. And I think that, you know, obviously conversations have been had already. I think she obviously knows that's not the correct name. She's doing it just to be mean and just to like jab a knife in a wound and twist a little bit, you know? There's no need for a conversation to happen anymore because the conversation's already happened. I am here and I sit here and I advocate for communication and say that that's the best way to solve all problems, but sometimes people don't respond to that. And sometimes I think you just need to play dirty, and this is one of those situations. I think that, firstly, obviously, I've said I think that so many times. I've just realized. Anyway, sometimes you just need to play dirty. In this situation, obviously stop responding when she calls you that name. Like if someone's calling you the wrong name deliberately, the best way to deal with it is to just completely not respond. Don't acknowledge that she's even said anything. Completely ignore it. And like, sure, these people might get really frustrated and upset, but it's like, that's what happens when you call someone the wrong name, you know? Completely just shut them off and don't acknowledge them. But secondly, also, if you want to be a little more petty, which I think that if this is happening to you, you absolutely deserve to be, start calling her the wrong name. Like, do it in a way of like, you know, if her name is like Belinda, just call her like Beverly. Or if her name's like Marissa, call her like Melissa. Like, get a letter or two wrong. Like, mess up her name in a way that makes it seem like you've forgotten her name. Be like, oh, what's her name again? Oh, I can't remember. Like, you're so irrelevant in my thoughts. I like barely even think about you. So I just like can't remember your name. See how she likes it. Because, you know, I think sometimes you absolutely just deserve to stoop to someone else's level. And this is one of those situations where you don't have to be the bigger man. Just fight fire with fire. It's deserved. This is an Instagram reel that someone like re-uploaded into this group just to be like, this has happened to me. And everyone's like, yep, yeah, this is pretty much how it goes.
Mum, what are you doing here?
I've just come to see the baby. I couldn't resist. I couldn't contain myself.
We're not ready for people. I've literally just given birth.
The baby is only a week old.
It's my favourite child. Just give me 5 minutes.
Making it about yourself again.
The entitlement on so many grandparents, absolutely astonishing. Like, it's astonishing. There's a post that someone made in this group that relates very much to this, which is just, your title to my child does not make you entitled to my child. Read that again. And yeah, I think that's incredibly applicable here because like so many people just feel like they're entitled to see someone else's child just because they have a relation. There are so many grandparents are so much like this of just thinking that like, this is my grandchild, so I am entitled to see them whenever I want. I have full rights to see my grandchild whenever I want. Like, no, that's not how this works. Like, I understand you want to see your grandchild. That's fair enough. Obviously, you love them and you want to spend time with them, you want to see them. Sure, why not? Of course. But you have to respect people's boundaries. And boundaries like this are in place for a reason. Like, you might think it's unreasonable and you might not like it, but that's kind of irrelevant. It's like not up to you. It's not your boundary to set, it's your boundary to follow. There's a whole bunch of reasons why people don't want guests when they have a newborn. Sometimes they might be like immunocompromised and they want to wait until their kid can get their vaccines before they like let other people interact with them and spend time with them. Sometimes there's like a big recovery period and people are just not prepared to have guests over. There's so many reasons why they might be restricting access to their baby. Like, you can wait a little bit. It's okay. The baby is not going anywhere. Like, you can wait 5 minutes. You can wait a couple weeks. It'll be totally fine. You will be okay. You've got years and years and years of time to spend with this child. But like all the comments on this, like on the original reel, not on in the Facebook group, were people being like, let grandma in, don't be nasty. Selfish birth mom, that's so mean, let grandma in. Sorry, but I side with grandma. And then don't be there when she needs babysitting. And it's like, how are so many people on her side? I don't get it. I don't understand. Just respect people's boundaries. It's so frustrating how many people are just like, you're evil if you don't let your kid see their grandparent. Like, it's okay. I promise you. You will be okay. You don't need to see, you are not entitled to anyone's child ever. In-laws like this are so infuriating and I would be so stressed trying to handle this whilst having a newborn baby. Like, I can't even imagine. Stress like that, stress in general, I don't know about you, but for me personally, it makes me break out. When I'm stressed, that is when my skin breaks out. And that is when today's sponsor, Geologie, is your best friend. Geologie is a 41-time award-winning skin, hair, and body care company who make skincare so easy. I have been working with Geologie for a long time. We know this. I love Geologie. Geologie have helped me so much through my skin journey. I am obsessed with them. I swear by them. I always sit here and I'm like, I tell everyone about Geologie. I tell my friends and my family, I tell them they have to use it. And the other day, my friend was like watching my last Geologie sponsor and she looked at me and she's like, you know, usually when people say they recommend the things they're sponsoring to their friends, I don't believe them. But you actually do. You are always talking about them. And it made me laugh because, yeah, I am. And the products I wanted to talk to you about today is Geologie's Clear System, which is Geologie's line of benzoyl peroxide-free acne care. And it is incredible. I am obsessed with it. Who's surprised? There is an acne control face wash that you use morning and night. There is a clear skin face cream that you use in the morning that has an SPF in it, which is very important. And then you have the retinol night cream, which is my favorite thing in the entire world. Geologie do the most incredible night creams. I am obsessed with them. They are so soft and velvety smooth. And like, there is nothing better than putting this on my skin before I go to bed at night. It is truly the greatest thing ever. And as well as this, they also have an acne body wash, which is amazing. I love it. I am someone who does get breakouts like on my chest and my back, and just like I do get breakouts on my body, and it is really nice to have something that actually helps to ease that and lessen that. And it is incredibly effective, and it works very quickly as well. Like, I noticed results quite quickly, and I am very grateful for it. I love it. And on top of that, they have a spot treatment that is my favorite thing ever. I've used so many different spot treatments and I never find them super effective, but this works miracles. It works fast, it works good, it is fantastic, and I adore it. I truly cannot recommend Geology enough. They have changed the game for me so much. Like, I could never find anything that worked well for me and my sensitive skin until Geology came into my life. And if you want to try the Clear system for yourself, which I truly cannot recommend enough, then you can use the link in the description or the QR code up on the screen right now with my code QueerKiwi25 for 25% off the Clear system. And you can also get it on Amazon and at Target as well. So thank you so much, Geology, for sponsoring this video. I hope that you all enjoy your clear skin. Been busy all day. I'm only 2 weeks post-op from stomach and 3 weeks from uterine surgery. So I was tired by like 3:30. So I laid on the couch while grandma was here. She goes, "It's not like you made those cupcakes from scratch." No, but I stood there doing the batter with H, then iced them and decorated them with H. Not to mention I got the kids ready, also went to physical therapy today, watched my crazy 2-year-old for a while, and did do a tiny bit of work. I hope you're better for when we go to Disney, or you will just be staying in the hotel while everyone else is having fun. That's not for 2 years. Only 2 years. So I'm expected at 2 weeks post-op to be able to walk miles and be busy all day long. And why would she say leave me in the hotel? Instead, why not include me with the family by a thing called a wheelchair if I needed it? It just because of how absolutely out of pocket it is. I love being 2 weeks post-op. You had surgery 2 weeks ago. So naturally, obviously, you're going to be resting up. You're going to be taking time to recover because, you know, your body is like not functioning properly, and everyone knows you need to rest after having surgery. And I love this woman being like, but like, are you gonna be okay in 2 years though? Have you considered that like right now you're acting like sick and disabled and like ill and it's boring and you're not being very fun. In 2 years, are you still gonna be acting like this? Firstly, as this woman said, if say she is in a situation in which she is unable to walk and she has a disability of any sort, wheelchairs are an option. You don't have to be ableist about it and be like, oh, you're struggling? You're staying behind. Don't be doing that. But secondly though, 2 years. 2 years. I find it astounding to make plans 2 years in advance. Like, I cannot imagine sitting here and being like, in 2 years we're going to Disneyland. That's wild to me. I could never do that, but you know, to each their own. But that aside, do you know how much can happen in 2 years? Like, this woman is not going to be recovering from this specific surgery in 2 years. Obviously, that's not how this works. But someone else could be sick. Someone else could be hurt. Someone could fucking die. I don't know. Like, literally anything can happen. I hope that karma comes and gets her. I hope that karma makes it difficult for her, and she's the one who's going to have to be left behind in the hotel. Again, I think that wheelchairs are available and good to use, but because she's threatened leaving her behind in a hotel, I think that it's valid to leave her behind. Those are my thoughts. I think that just karma should come and bite her. I hope that Disney and your trip is like fantastic and lovely in 2 years' time, and that karma bites the mother-in-law in the ass. So my mother-in-law threatens to take my baby away as a joke. I'm going through postpartum depression. My baby is 2 months old. Should I be worried, or is it really a joke? What can I do to make them respect my recovery from birth? They've been visiting every week since he's been born. Am I allowed to just go no contact without any explanation, or is that wrong of me? What should I do? I think absolutely you can go no contact without any explanation. I think this is just such an incredibly cruel thing to do. Imagine like seeing a family member struggling with postpartum depression, which must be such a horrible thing to be going through, and just deciding to make it worse because you think it's funny. You're like, oh, you're struggling mentally? Oh, You're worried about your baby. You have postpartum depression. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna fucking poke you, and I'm gonna bully you, and I'm gonna make it worse. And then, like, why? Why would you want to cause pain to someone whom you're meant to love? This is nothing funny about it. I do not understand jokes like this. Like, it's not a joke. It's not funny to be playing on people's, like, fears and their mental health and just pretending that it's all for a laugh, because no one's laughing. And if you're laughing, you're a bad person. I think it's completely valid to completely cut contact in this. I feel like I'm assuming that it's been communicated that it's not funny and you don't appreciate it, and it's like not something that should be joked about. And she hasn't listened. She hasn't respected that. So, you know, cutting contact, I think she'll know the reason. Because she's been told so many times. I don't think you have to reconnect unless she has taken responsibility and she has apologized and promises to change and be better and not make fun of you for your mental health and like threaten to steal your baby, because that's fucked up. My in-law found out we are going to Hawaii in July, so they booked a flight and hotel on the same day. Well, I called the hotel and changed the date for a week later in the airlines. So now they don't know we changed it. Has this happened to you? People who invite themselves to things are frustrating. People who invite themselves on your holiday are baffling. So ridiculously egotistical. Because what do you mean? What do you mean? I came to you and told you that, like, I'm going on a holiday. I'm going away with my family for a few days. And your response is, you know what would make your holiday better? If I went, if I was there, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to pay. You don't have to book it. Like, this is my gift to you, is my presence on your holiday that you did not invite me to. They didn't invite you for a reason. I'm sorry. I understand that sometimes invitations can be miscommunicated. Like, I understand that sometimes people say things that imply, like, I want you to come with me, and such as that, right? I understand that that happens sometimes, but this is not one of those instances. Because if everything has already been paid for and booked, if they wanted you there, they would have told you beforehand. And regardless, you should ask. If you think that they are telling you this because they want you there, you should ask and be like, oh, that sounds fun. Can we join? Can I come with you? I'd love to go. That's the polite thing to do. And then you cannot get mad when they say, no, this is just family time for us. Because sometimes people want to exist without you present. That's allowed. And it's not an insult. Doesn't mean they don't like you. Just means that sometimes people want to spend time with each other and not with someone else, you know? Yeah, I think ultimately, please don't be inviting yourself on people's holidays. I cannot imagine how frustrating that must be. Like, that must be so, like, smothered. You must feel smothered. That's so annoying. And I really want to see the fallout of this. I want to see what happens when these in-laws show up to, like, go to the airport and the family's not there. I want to see what happens when they go to Hawaii and are like, oh, well, oh, they're not here. Oh, they're going a week later. Like, that would be hilarious. I really hope they don't find out and then just extend their stay to be there at the same time, because, God, that would make me lose my mind. Oh, I hope everything worked out, because, my God. I like to make plans in advance. My mother-in-law wants to see my baby at the drop of a hat. This usually means I'm unavailable when she asks to see them, and therefore I am withholding baby. My baby is exclusively breastfed and refuses a bottle. My mother-in-law wants to take the baby out for a day without me. Apparently the inability to do this is very upsetting for her and my father-in-law. My 6-month-old baby and I have attachment issues. My mother-in-law, for some bizarre reason, only wants to see baby without me and doesn't like when I suggest we do something together. Apparently I am putting so many restrictions in place. I could go on, but I won't. Thought I'd post some more on here to get opinions. Before she came over, my partner turned off the indoor camera before she got here. He told me it was because we don't need it on. I don't believe him, and I think she asked him to turn it off. And she had the baby for about 15 minutes whilst I had a shower. I have no idea what she did in that time, and it concerns me. 2. I previously left baby with her, and when I left, it was her and 3 relatives. When I came back, there were an additional 7 relatives that no one informed me about. I was only away for 2 hours. 3. I can't remember when this was, baby brain, but she had baby for a short period of time, and when I came back, baby hadn't pooped, but she had changed the nappy 3 times. Pretty sure they weren't that full. This was all when baby was a little younger. Our attachment issues are fairly new, and the pressing to see baby by herself has been going on for about 3 months. Unfortunately, my family all live out of town, and so I can't turn to anyone else when I need someone to watch the baby. However, I just take baby everywhere with me, and if I can't, but something needs doing, like an appointment, I'll ask my partner to take the day off work. This has a horrifying amount of red flags in the absolute most terrifying way. Like, this is like actually scary shit. Why does she want the baby alone? Why does she complain and not want to see the baby without anyone else present? Does she need the camera off when she is alone with the baby? Why is she undressing the baby several times for absolutely no reason and inviting people over without the knowledge or consent of parents? Like, every single one of these things is like the most horrifying red flag. And I think that she should not have access to your baby, period. Whether you are present or not. I think that if someone is doing all of this shit around a child, cut contact completely. Like, actually. And honestly, based off of the information that I have been given here, would not be against the idea of contacting law enforcement to check her and her house and everything in it, because this is quite concerning and terrifying, and people are scary. Some people do some fucking scary, horrible shit. And this is like so alarming. So yeah, if anyone is experiencing anything like this, the correct response is to immediately just cut all contact. You are completely valid in that, and I think that is the only course of action. So please do that. My fiance and I have been no contact with his parents. Of course, they still continue to send him Facebook messages, texts, and even emails that he does not respond to. He has considered blocking them to get some reprieve since they are not respecting his boundaries he laid out of no contact. The final straw that led us to no contact was when his mother and her friend were going around asking his friends what they thought of me, wanting them to pick sides and accusing me of abusing him. He's been working through a lot of trauma from his childhood in therapy and realizing a lot of the things they've done and still do are not okay and how they've affected and continue to affect him in adulthood. We recently have gotten engaged and announced it on Facebook. We were surprised we did not get some condescending text from his parents, and it was putting him on edge waiting for that other shoe to drop. This morning, he received a text from his mother with a simple, "I love you." He is currently feeling a lot of emotions and trying to work it out. His mother's main tendency is to pull on emotions to suck him back in. I'm a bit worried, but hoping for the best that he will remain strong and continue to focus on the work he's putting in. Any advice? There is nothing quite like sitting in therapy and untangling the ball of yarn that is your life and realizing that at the center, a lot of it just comes down to shit your parents did and things that happened in childhood. That like domino effect, or the fact that like you are constantly connecting dots your entire life. You like think or do something and then you're like, well, I wonder why I'm doing this. And you're like, well, this happened and oh my goodness, it's linked to this thing that happened in my childhood. I've been in therapy for like 11 years and it still happens. I still have moments where I'm like, oh. It's a constant learning process. So I get it. I'm glad that this is something that's being figured out. It's something that's really funny, but like really important and so good to do. It's so good. It's such a tricky situation though, right? Like the whole like love bombing thing is so frustrating, so annoying, because obviously with this sort of shit is like a lot of the time these people really want to please their parents and like really do just crave that love and want to have that like respect and that relationship that they have been deprived of, or just like have been, you know, made to very much crave. Like they feel like they have to do everything to please their parents, and it can be really hard to like cut that off. I think that it's like, it's so good with therapy and doing this work. I think as you like learn to make these connections and you think about all the things that led you to where you are, it is much easier to disconnect. I think it depends on where you're at in your therapy journey and your like healing journey. But distance does help a lot with a lot of relationships like this. And that whole, like, once you are aware of what is wrong and what is mistreatment, you start to understand your own boundaries more. And at the very least, like, when boundaries are crossed by those people, you are less affected by it because you know it's going to happen and you know it's not your fault. And you just kind of have to let it, like, glide off and be like, you know, I don't care anymore. A big part of it is having to like detach yourself from the relationship and like accept the relationship as something that it is rather than something that you want it to be. I don't know where this guy is at in his healing journey, but I hope that one day, like, if he wants his mother to be in his life, he wants his parents to be in his life, he's able to have like a relationship where he doesn't get himself too emotionally involved. Don't know if that day is right now. I also hope that he stays strong. But it sounds like he's doing great work, and it sounds like he's making strides towards being able to have a relationship where he just is not emotionally involved. And I hope that he is able to get that soon, because it is nice to have your parents in your life when they're not being cruel and like emotionally manipulating you. Hopefully this is not the start of love bombing. Hopefully this is oh, I've reflected on my actions and I miss my child and want him in my life kind of thing. Not a like, I'm gonna bring him back and then be horrible and manipulative kind of thing. But these parents a lot of the time don't really reflect and change very much. Unfortunately, that falls on the children a lot of the time to do all the therapy work that the parents should do. But maybe this is different. I hope that it works out and that he continues with therapy and healing and that the parents aren't horrible. Looking for some support around a boundary I'm trying to hold with my mother-in-law this weekend. My mother-in-law is coming over on Saturday. I let her know ahead of time that she can visit from 1 to 6 p.m. because she has a tendency to overstay. She doesn't respond well to boundaries, and my husband is pretty enmeshed with her, meaning their relationship lacks healthy separation and her needs often come before ours as a couple. It feels very codependent and has caused a lot of tension. I've experienced emotional manipulation and boundary pushing from her over the years, so for my own peace, I plan on leaving the house while she's here to run errands, then coming back shortly before 6 to make sure she respects the time limit. I worry that if I'm not there, she'll try to stay longer since she has a habit of testing limits. The visit is mainly about seeing my son, who is still little and usually winds down around 6 p.m. When she's here, he doesn't always nap well or settle down because she overstimulates him, and sometimes purposely keeps him up to spend more time with him. It's been about 3 weeks since she's seen him, so I already know she'll try to stretch the time. I guess I'm just asking, is this a bad boundary to have? Am I being dramatic for sticking to the 1 to 6 window? She tends to flip the situation and make me look like the villain, and I think sometimes I get in my head about whether I'm being unfair. Would appreciate hearing from others who've dealt with similar dynamics. God, it's so frustrating. Oh my God, it's so upsetting that she thinks that this is a harsh boundary and an unfair boundary. This is a completely reasonable boundary to have. And the fact that like so many people set boundaries that are so reasonable and have been made to feel as though they're harsh and they're cruel and like they're an asshole for setting these boundaries is so upsetting. Like being the villain just for enforcing something that is reasonable. Like this is quite literally just like this is your time, your house, your schedule, your child. Like you have all the say in this situation. And the fact that like there's been enough guilt to be questioning whether this is too harsh is maddening. It's maddening because like imagine just looking at such a basic and easily respected boundary and being like, how dare you? How dare, that's so cruel. How dare you do that to me? Why do you hate me? Why don't you want me in your life? Like, no, that's not what's happening. And the fact that it is very much implied here that her husband takes his mother's side, and thus, like, she's having to set these boundaries and enforce these boundaries by herself with no help is... I understand how she must easily be made to feel like the villain and like she is being unfair. But when it comes to these situations, like, you have to put your foot down. You have to keep these boundaries, because I promise you they are completely reasonable. And if someone doesn't want to respect that, they don't deserve access to your child. Like, if she refuses to respect these boundaries, she doesn't get to visit anymore. That's not being too harsh or too cruel. That's just what happens. That's the consequences of her actions. If you're going to disrespect people, you've got to face the consequences of disrespecting people. You cross a boundary, there are consequences for doing that. Like, this isn't her house. It's not her kids. She has to follow your schedule in this situation. That's how this works. I'm sorry, but I'm not. But, like, that's how it goes. If you have boundaries, please enforce them, and don't let people tell you that they are cruel or too much, because different people have different limits around different things. Like, what might seem like a reasonable boundary to you might not seem reasonable to someone else, and like vice versa. You got to do what's right for us and what's best for, like, your mental health. That's how this goes. Respect boundaries or get out, basically. It's the moral of the story here. I don't understand why so many in-laws can be so difficult to deal with. Like, it's truly astounding to me how many of them just insert themselves where they do not belong. These are all grown adults, and their, like, parents are acting as though they are the center of the universe. And it's like, that's not how this works. That's not how this works. Everyone just needs to communicate better, and also just be respectful. I think that it's really that simple. Just be respectful and respect boundaries and have conversations and be a decent person, and then everything will be okay. A huge thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons: Stella, Trippy Day 27, Bay the Trucker, Chastity, Beckett, Prismatic PT, LJ James D, MA Ping the Games, Blaze, It's Craiglow, Phil the Duck, Jesse A, River, Queen Glimmer, Ella, Lady Nutbar, Mr. Noodle, Radsack, Knitting Menace, Samuel, Chris, Ellie, Alexis, and Bobby. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for joining. If you would like to be on Patreon, you go to patreon.com/SavvyCat. I'll click the link in the description. For as little as £1 a month, you get my videos 1 to 5 days early and ad-free. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah.
When you close your eyes, you replace